right. Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk Retail, Philippine Retailers Association multi-awarded podcast. Today, we're going to have a very stimulating and engaging episode where we'll have the opportunity to delve into the management style of Krispy Kreme Philippines COO. And it's not child of owner, okay? So it's a professional manager, young guy, he just turned 40. Okay, we will explore how his dedication, skills, and competencies have contributed to sales and profit growth of the Maxis Group, especially in Krispy Kreme and Jamba Juice Philippines. He will also share his insights on how he propelled his business, okay, especially during this very challenging time. At just a friendly reminder again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know the drill. There it is. There it is. Okay, click and subscribe. Like us also in YouTube, also in Spotify. All right, so we're on YouTube and Spotify. Okay, let's now meet our guest. So I mentioned earlier that he's the COO of Krispy Kreme Philippines. He is handling strategic business planning, operational management, team development. That's everything you can think of. It's a very interesting journey to where he that got him to this place. Let me call on Christopher Sonny Tiong, COO, Krispy Kreme Philippines and Jamba Juice Philippines. All right, Sonny.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, CJ. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely, thank you. Thank you for spotting happy for with your donuts and your coffee. We're glad that we can make your day a little bit more happier, So
Always.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to be part of this multi-awarded podcast. So let's
I hope
talk.
we win more awards.
Yes. So, to be honest, this is actually my first time to be interviewed on a podcast. So I'm truly thankful for the opportunity that PRA has given me, CJ, for allowing me to do this. Hopefully, we have a very good conversation today that can on my thoughts about the different experiences in leading retail in today's changing environment.
Yes, and speaking of a changing environment, all right. I was looking at your journey. Let's start off with that. You came from MNCs, multinationals, global companies. Costco, SmithKline. Of course, URC is an Asian company already. And of course, like you came from Coca-Cola, which is one of my alma maters also, and Fonterra. All right. What this journey into from multinationals to a local company, why did you take that journey? Why did you just go to another multinational or take an expat posting?
Yeah. Well, that's a very interesting question. Whenever I talk about my career, I always start off to say that I started out as a professional drug dealer. so, so I always get a laugh at that. But yeah, I started out in a multinational pharmaceutical company, GSK. Moved around handled different therapeutic areas, from respiratory to up to mood disorders, so you name it, I dabbled in it a bit while I was there. But that said, I think that to your question, in terms of my journey so far as a professional, I think that one of the key things that I've identified as I got to move in my career is that these movements were intentional, so much so that it contributed to my development as a leader, to my development as a professional. Each move was a move towards sort of adding more to the toolbox. Adding more to the toolbox. So my first move was from a multinational company to an Asian company, URC, one of the biggest FMCG companies in the country, as well as in this part of the world.
Right.
So that move was really to also expose myself to a different category altogether. I started out in pharmaceuticals. The only opportunity that I was looking at so far was that I would consider moving if an FMCG company gave me a shot. and they took a shot at me. After which, to your point, I moved on to Coca-Cola, and that's
Yes.
where I got to experience how a multinational FMCG company executes, how they turn insight into something actionable down to the sari-sari store level.
Correct.
Was really an experience that allowed me to see not only the power of the brand, but the rigor in terms of execution and how it's absolutely important towards making sure that you succeed with your identified KPIs. My next move was more of a leadership role. I From Coca-Cola, I transferred to Fonterra, wherein I took on the leadership of the department, the trade marketing department there. That allowed me to, from mid-management, to move into a more senior post. Um, and again, an additional to the toolbox, more than the category of FMCG or dairy for that matter. It really taught me a lot um, about leadership and about how cross-functional coordination and collaboration is important towards delivering on the overall business goal, overall business unit goal. So that allowed me to do that. And then my next move was actually a joint venture with Vitasoy Hong Kong, together with URC again, and that allowed me to see that joint venture dynamic of two entrepreneurial Asian strong companies launching a brand together. So that was an experience as well on how we entered the market. So that's another add to the toolbox. And then finally, when I got the chance to, in my experience with beverages, I found a lot of joy in the fact that how products can really not only just provide sustenance, but really create a feeling of happiness and joy when you consume the product. And that's why when I got the chance to be in one of the I would say one of the happiest brands globally, which is Krispy Kreme, I took on the opportunity with Maxis Group to be part of the family in 2019. And to be honest, this is one of, not that I'm not saying that because I'm still here, but I think this is one of the best career decisions that I've made so far. Being COO, I think has for not one but just two global brands as well, has been an honor and privilege. More importantly, this is giving me the best opportunity at this point in my life, I mean, as a professional. It allowed me to become a better provider to my wife and daughter, and more importantly, and also important, I think it allowed me to be of service to a bigger family. I think organizationally, we're more than 1,000 employees, including all the stores. No? So I'm cognizant of the fact that this role allows me to do that with all the experiences that I've had from the start, MNC, moving into an Asian company, MNC as well in their own right. MNCs both experts in the carbonated soft drinks market and dairy market, as well as seeing the dynamics of plant-based and how it can enter. All of those things, I think, added up to me getting to this position of handling a global brand, but also to your point with an entrepreneurial family handling this global brand. So I think that's a real cool dynamic to have. You have a global perspective of our franchisors, which is Krispy Kreme and Jamba Juice. But at the same time, how do those insights get localized into the Philippine setting through the lens of our founders that are still very much active in our operations today?
Which brings me to this point, which I was telling you before we recorded.
Yeah.
Both of us came from multinationals, and there's rigor. Use the word rigor, right?
Yeah.
Rigor, structure, okay, with a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
but there's a discipline in the way things go, and it's always professional managers all over the place, right?
Yes.
Now you are in a company, although it's publicly listed, all right, but the founders are still there.
Yeah.
So how does it feel, or what were the what were the things you had to adapt to having it, the founders? This is actually the third generation, the second and third generation already there.
Yeah.
What, coming from multinationals, and then all of a sudden you have the owners there, and I
Yeah.
know love that family. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, for
your
sure. Me
families.
too. Me too. I think, well, as mentioned earlier, I think the dynamics are definitely a bit different. The dynamics are a bit different. In working in a company where the founders and the board is really much into the day-to-day operations. But I think what I've learned throughout 2019 to today is that, especially going through the pandemic, I think their level of closeness to the operations, to how things are being done on a day-to-day basis, helped us because it allowed them to see, it allowed them to have to a certain point, ears to the ground, so that it allowed them to give a lot of guidance, the right guidance on how we should move forward as a company. Um, I think also that there is a wealth. What's good about working for a family-owned organization, that's also a publicly listed company, but is that there's a wealth of experience. There's a wealth of experience that's ripe for the taking for anyone that chooses to do so. They are very willing to engage, to provide their insight, and I think that's very refreshing for someone like me that came from, to your point, very structured communication, very structured ways of working. I think what the beauty of working with entrepreneurs is that it allows a bit more flexibility in terms of how things can be done, and therefore, with this flexibility, mm, there's also speed in terms of how to react, how to decide, and how to pursue opportunities that are there. uh, yeah, so I think there's a lot of advantages in working for organizations that also have exposure to the entrepreneurs
The
in
reason why I asked the question is that if you look at the Philippine retail companies, many
Mhm.
of them are led by entrepreneurs.
Yes. Mhm.
Uh, but there are also professional managers who are now thinking, in the cusp of their careers,
Mhm.
thinking whether they should still join the multinational route, the global company route, or should they now take the plunge of working with entrepreneurs? And of course, in the
Mhm.
entrepreneur side, is it time now to start bringing in professional managers more so if the heirs are not there, di ba?
Mhm.
COO usually is child of owner, right? So in this case, it's an NCOO, not child of owner, di ba? So this is I think this is where one of the elephant in the room questions,
Mhm.
a situation we're in. Do we take in talent from outside? And
Yeah.
the talent from outside is asking, do I join an
Yeah.
endeavor? And I'm glad you're able to bring it out,
Yeah.
the insights of that. Now, you told me you just turned 40,
Yeah.
right? So you are a Gen Xer, a younger Gen Xer, right?
Yeah. Borderline millennial.
Yeah, you're in that cusp.
Yeah.
Um, I told you I'm a baby boomer. So in the workplace now, there are actually three, turning four generations. Baby boomers like me, which is actually fading, and then you have the Gen Xers like you, and then you have the millennials and the Gen Z. So one of my favorite questions now is, what is the intergenerational dynamics? Okay, how do you cope with it? You will have
Yeah.
younger staff, your peers may be of your same age, and then you may have younger boomers as your bosses. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that has been a dynamic that I've been dealing with for, I think, most of my career. I think I've been very fortunate to have had very good coaches, mentors that have fast tracked my development from day one. And so far I've always been young for my role. In all the roles that I've played so far, I've always been young. So the dynamic of having direct reports that are more experienced than you, having peers that are probably a little bit older than you or younger for that matter, also um, has been an experience in itself. No, so um, I think when I think about leadership in spanning different generations, there are two things that come to mind for me. First principle probably is first principle is one size fits one. One size
Okay,
fits one.
explain.
One of the most important principles that I've learned in my leadership journey is it's what they call the platinum rule. I don't know if you've heard of that. I'm sure.
No, not yet. And
Okay, so the
fundamentals,
golden rule so let me explain. The golden rule is treat people as you would like to be treated, but
right?
the platinum rule is treat people as they would like to be treated.
All right. Okay.
So, in a nutshell, I think that one of the key learnings for me is that we should recognize that each person has a different context, no? And it's our job as leaders to ensure that we listen, understand, uh, so that we can better influence individuals. No, we know that uh, people act differently when emotions are involved, whether positively or negatively. So, our role as leaders is really to find out your context and how to positively influence that behavior, no? People become better team members when they feel understood and heard, and this cuts across all generations, no?
Right.
Whether you're a Gen Xer, whether you're a Gen Zer, people like to be heard and people like to be recognized for who they are. And I think that's one thing, no, that I always remember. One size fits one. One approach for one person will not necessarily apply to another person. And secondly, I think that the second principle is all about clarity. No, I think that's the number one role of leaders is really to provide clarity, not only in terms of direction, but in all aspects. No, when I say clarity, it's all about clearly articulating the key imperatives or goals for the organization as a total unit. And in order to effectively lead, this clarity needs to be clearly broken down into how each of the departments contributes to the overarching goals. So I'm a stickler to being very clear, not only for the direction, but secondly, being very clear on what what the measures are, to track progress. No, so setting clear and measurable KPIs for me is something very important, especially in leading a multi-generational organization, because what that does is that it makes sure that all assessments are objective, and therefore it is not influenced whether you're tenured or not. It's really all about making sure that there's no ambiguity in terms of how we say you are successful or not. And then third, no, so we talked about clarity of goals, clarity of measures. The third one is all about clarity of ways of working. How do we work together? How do we understand? How do we pursue these goals together? What are the expectations from a day-to-day standpoint? What gets escalated or not? When these expectations are laid out, whether you're a Gen Z or a boomer or a Gen Xer, millennial, when we are clear about those things, then I feel that goals are easier to achieve as a unit.
Okay. So that's your take on the intergenerational dynamics. Now, I was told that you just recently won Building Our Iconic Brand Award. and that you bested 40 markets. Now,
Yeah.
this is the Philippines. You bested more developed countries. What made you stand out? What did you do right?
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I think this is one of the greatest milestones of Krispy Kreme Philippines now, since it started its operations in 2006, which I'm glad to share you're a part of, you know. So back in 2006, no. So we're absolutely proud of what we've been able to win this award. I think, as you've mentioned, Team Philippines was chosen across all markets, no, beating out even more mature markets like the US, UK, etc. No? So I think if I were to list down what allowed us to win that award, no, that was given to us by Krispy Kreme Donut Company in our recent global conference in Charlotte in March. If I were to list down a few things, no, the first thing I think most important is all about launch excellence. When I say launch excellence, I'm a firm believer in YOLO. You only launch once.
Oh, okay, I thought
You
this
only
you
launch
only live
once.
once. Okay.
You only launch once. First impressions matter, I
Okay,
think.
good, good.
And ensuring ensuring the success or failure for brands. So for us, I think for Krispy Kreme, innovation is at our core, and we practically have new products, new offerings almost every month, no? And what we want to make sure of is that whether it's a new launch of a product of a retail store, what we've been able to do is as ensure intentional planning so that it results to very good execution. The second one is we focus on our core equities. I just made sure that we become more and more of who we already are. Krispy Kreme is an 80 plus year old brand,
Right.
and it will not last that long if it didn't have its core equities that people love. So I think that for brand people out there, I think the most important thing is to discover who you are, know who you are, and become more and more of that, because that's what made you who you are today. So I think day to day we make sure that we focus on our core equities to establish differentiation from other players in the market. Probably a third one is collaboration. Collaboration not only within the company but with like-minded brands and partners outside. This has allowed us to really harness power of not only our brand but the power of brands that we partner with, no? Fourth is probably and this is probably what I learned from Coca-Cola as well, is integrated through the line communication. Everything connects. Everything connects from what you see to the television to what you see in the sari-sari store, no? So it all connects every single time, no? So there needs to be a lot of thoroughness when it comes to how each of the brand, or how your brand message connects to your product message, connects to your retail message. And that's key towards building our iconic brand. And last but not the least, and I think this is the one that I'm really most passionate about. It's all about excellent execution in store. At the end of the day, the moment of truth is at the store, especially for Krispy Kreme. You know, you can have the best brand campaign, you can have the best product, but if it's not executed well at the store, then the purchase will not happen. So creating and being very mindful. So I know it was a brand award, but we were recognized because we executed down to the store. Even the customer service metrics were met. And that's why I think it's important. I think for managers and leaders right now, sometimes the loop is not closed. No, so for me, for any marketing effort, any campaign, the attention to detail of how it gets executed and communicate of that person in front of the customer is as important as the campaign itself. Because without that putting that level of importance in that particular moment of truth, then nothing, then all your efforts would have gone to waste because it's not executed very well. No? So
And I'm glad you mentioned that moment of truth at the store level,
yeah,
because that's applicable for whatever category it is. I was looking at my receipt for today's purchase, and I see that I can get 2 pieces of original glazed donut if
yes.
I complete the survey.
Yes, so we actively and intentionally ask for your feedback. So for us, feedback is our number one mechanism to get better. And not only for retail, but as a person, when you are open to feedback, when
Yeah.
you actively seek feedback, that's the first step towards always improving. So that has been an intentional way of how to get our the pulse of our customers. No? So, and we reward them for their feedback, because I always share this, that feedback is a gift. So when it is a gift, you say thank you and you give them something in return. So
Okay, I'm gonna answer this later.
yes,
Best
yes,
part, it's the digital, so
yes,
online. Okay.
yes,
Very interesting point you mentioned. 80 plus years old, the brand. It's a heritage brand. It's a legacy brand. How does it keep fresh and relevant given the market is changing? There's all these things about health, sugar, fats, all this stuff, which maybe we did not hear about when I first met Krispy Kreme in 2006. So how does the brand stay relevant?
yeah. So we stay relevant by, of course, to your point, and I talked about this earlier. We stay relevant because we listen. No? We try to get as much feedback as possible from the customers that consume us, and 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 marrying that with our core equities. That's where we find our space in the category that we play in the retail space that we play in. For us, our purpose remains the same, no? And this is timeless, no? We are all about touching and enhancing life through the joy that is Krispy Kreme. And whatever generation it is, joy is always something that's central. Happiness is something that's always central. So that's how we stay relevant. We know that we are not just about selling donuts, not selling coffee, but we're actually all about joy, about making happy happen, and we just actually do that through donuts. No? So that's how we stay relevant. I think it's all about making sure that we know who we are. We know how our customers perceive us. And we we shape ourselves, we shape our communications, we shape our service, so much so that we stay true to our purpose of creating that joy, creating that warmth, creating those happy moments. So in our store, so you can spot happy in the stores that we are in.
Okay, last two questions.
Yeah.
We're now entering the post-pandemic world. Okay, and you have been talking about keeping close touch with the market. So what is this post-pandemic or the pandemic evolved F&B customer based on what you've seen over the past 2 years?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great question. No? So I think what we've learned post-pandemic is that um, you have to be uh, I know this term gets thrown around, no, but you have to be omni-channel.
Okay.
You have to be omni-channel. The pandemic opened up a lot of revenue streams, a lot of channels, a lot of accessibility points to the customer, no? Whether it is the new and improved digital market space, it's a face-to-face, it's in the supermarket, it's in the malls, etc., etc. I think that the post-pandemic customer, the pandemic opened up the insight for the customer to recognize that in getting access to a brand that I want, I can be in different marketplaces. No, I have different marketplaces as opposed to before that the default was You want something, you go to the store and then you get it from there. So I think that for brands as we move forward, we want one of the key learnings, one of the key highlights for us to continue to stay relevant is to make sure that accessibility is something that we think about. Convenient accessibility to brands is something that at the baseline of what we do, of making sure that we know how our customers shop, whether it's on the digital space, in our stores, um, tapping into different channels such as supermarkets, etc. No? So having an understanding of who she is when she is in the digital space, when she is in our store, and all of those things, and being present and being relevant and being very convenient to access to, is something that's going to be key for brands moving forward. Essentially, in a nutshell, I think what we need to do is really, how do we make it easier for them to love us?
Okay.
How do we make it easier for them to love us? Kasi if there's an accessibility problem, if there is a service problem, then there are a lot of options in the marketplace that you're playing with. So it's all about making that journey to loving you easier as you move forward.
So online, do you think online will replace dining in store?
Not necessarily. I think that it's all about making sure that you understand the experience of what they expect when they do online and what they experience when they do dine in or take out. It's a very different experience that they look for, and it will not go away for both consumption occasions. The jobs of the brands is making sure that you are relevant and you satisfy their wants in each of those channels, because those channels will continue to be present in the lives of the post-pandemic consumer.
All right. Last question.
Sure.
What keeps you awake at night and why?
Okay. What keeps me awake? I think I think and this is something that I realized probably recently, no? Probably recently. As you mentioned, I just turned 40. So a lot of introspection, a lot of thinking as well, you know, as you go through a milestone like that. And one of the things that I thought of as a revelation for me and what keeps me up at night is really, how do I continue to maintain focus on the things that matter? And when I ask myself that, I I, I needed to make sure that what's most important to me is something that is central to who I am. And I think that before COO, I am first and foremost a father and a husband. No, and I think that having that focus allows me to see my other roles. No, because being a father and a husband is my forever role.
Okay.
My forever job. And doing well in these roles, when I realized it, is important to me. No, it's important to me more than anything else. And with this perspective, I view all other roles in my life, no, as as a COO in MGI and so on, through a lens of how it can contribute to me being a better husband and a father, as well as, and this is what keeps me up at night as well. How can I create a work environment wherein people in my team will also have the opportunity to be better in their forever roles, so whatever that may be, whatever role that is most important to them. And that, I think, it is what ties it all together for me, what keeps me up at night. How do I make sure that, um, for these more than 1,000 employees that are under our leadership, myself as well as my leadership team, how do we create a work environment wherein they are not only successful in the work that they do, but how does the work that they do support the things that they do, that they are outside of work? How does the work contribute to their well-being? And that's, I think, where we want to transcend our company to be to be intertwined and to be intertwined in the lives of the people that are with us for Krispy Kreme and for Jamba Juice. How do we make that out happen as a leadership team? How do I lead that challenge? And I think that that's what's important to me. How do I become relevant? How do we become relevant in the lives of the people that we work with? Is something that yeah, keeps me up at night.
Keeps you up at night, and I
Yeah.
hope you sleep well afterwards.
Yes,
Because
yes,
once you
yes.
answer the question.
When you
Okay.
when you when you work with people you work with founders that are deeply concerned with the people and the well-being of their people. This kumbaga, this gives me all the confidence in the world that this is something that we can do. So I'm thankful for my leadership team. I'm thankful for the board for being who they are, because that allows us to stay true to our purpose every day.
All right. Thank you very much, Sonny. That was very insightful, very candid.
Mhm.
Thank you for taking time from your busy
Sure.
schedule to share with us. And we look forward to our viewers to have a very insightful time for this, for what you've talked about today. Again,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, that was Christopher Sonny Tiong, the COO of Krispy Kreme Philippines and Jamba Juice Philippines. Again, thank you, Sonny, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today in Let's Talk Retail. We hope to see you again in our next episode. This is CJ Hassan of Shangri-La Plaza, wishing you a good day. Thank you.